Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1209. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I've got some shit going on again. I don't know if it's allergies, leftover allergies. I don't know what's going on, but I've got like some stuffiness going on still. A lot to get to today, a lot to talk about. I forgot to flash. This Saturday is the Madison Card Show. This coming Saturday, June 22nd, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. 135 tables, no third ballroom this month. It will return for July and August. So 2 ballrooms, Williamson downstairs, upstairs Capitol, and of course the mezzanine in the hallway upstairs. So 2 ballrooms, 135 tables. Free admission, 9 to 3, sold out show this Saturday, Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. And then for July, so basically why there's not a third ballroom, I didn't book it for the summer months because I didn't know what demand would be. Well, crazy demand. We could be doing 200 plus tables. So I whiffed. I reached out. I said, hey, do you have the third ballroom for June? No, we've already booked it. So I'm like, okay, well, can I book July and August? Because it looks like there's going to be demand. So sold out for this weekend, July. You can get it booked. Get it booked now. Good news on this Monday morning. Ethan Roberts, still a Cub. So I had to celebrate. Ethan Roberts fan club shirt. So basically what happened, Ethan had Tommy John, was coming back this spring training. He was ready to make it back to Chicago at spring training, dealt with some issues on his return, had to sit on the shelf for most of spring training, actually. And so he wasn't cleared to pitch until, a month ago, and made a return, kind of a rehab, basically a rehab assignment in Tennessee. So he pitched in one game in Double-A Tennessee, went up to Iowa to Triple-A, and he's been lights out of the bullpen. What the hell do the Cubs need? Bullpen help. They have Ethan right there at Triple-A. He was not on the 40-man roster, which created, well, what do you do? Ethan had an opt-out this weekend. If he wasn't going to be added to the 40-man, he was going to become a free agent. Looked like he was going to become a free agent up until yesterday afternoon. Thought, guess I'm going to have to get this shirt in different colors, right? All of a sudden, he's like, I got added to the 40-man. So Cubs DFA'd Jose Cuas, called up Ethan to the 40-man, and then didn't designate him, assigned him to AAA Iowa. So he can make it back to Chicago. And the way this bullpen is looking in Chicago, I think we'll see Ethan Roberts back at Wrigley very soon. I'll drink to that. So that was some great news on Sunday. I went back to Baraboo yesterday. This is a good news, bad news scenario. So the plan was my nephew, second wedding, so I don't feel as bad, got married. He had a destination wedding about a month ago where he lives down in Mississippi now. And so he did a reception this weekend back home. So I was, after I did some shipping on Saturday morning, I was going to be heading down to Kewanee for my nephew's wedding reception, and then was going to be heading back here Sunday afternoon. So I didn't think that I would be around to check out the final day of the estate sale in Baraboo. Unfortunately, this is where the bad news comes in. So Biscuit has some bad health problems that are terminal. So last week, my wife said, hey, come up here. This was, I don't know what day this was, but she was just not acting like herself, just really sluggish. So I brought her down here so she could hang out with me. Usually when she does sit with me, that means she's not feeling well, because usually she'll hang out down in the basement for a few minutes, and it's like, unless there's like workers in the house or cleaners, and then she's going to hang out. Otherwise, she's going to go back on her perch on the couch. She hung out with me, so I knew she wasn't feeling good. She got a little perky later in the day. We went for a walk. And I just happened to notice she squatted down like a growth. So I took a photo, sent it to my wife. She's like, I'm coming home. Got her into the vet. She's got like a cyst. The way to fix it is to surgery. They can't do surgery until they know what the situation with her heart is. So that was the news. She's in a lot of discomfort. So I mean, that's why she was, not feeling well. She's got this, it looks so painful. So get it. So Saturday morning, things seemed to take a turn for the worst. She was really like more sluggish than usual. Her breathing is really labored. And she just was not herself at all. So I decided to stay home. I wasn't handling it very well. It's tough. I know Steve has just gone through this. So I stayed home Saturday. He did perk up a little bit. She was the same Sunday, went to take her for a walk. She was just not, but again, she's in a lot of discomfort so I understand why she's not, hopping along on a walk. So we grilled burgers last night. We had to make a biscuit burger. And, she's laying in her bed and she perked up, but she wasn't like, her usual self. We did make her a little burger and she chowed it down, gave her some energy. I think part of it was she hasn't eaten much the last couple of days. So I think, probably between the pain of, the cyst she's got going and that obviously has probably affected her appetite, which she really never had an appetite to begin with. So she was a little better. Her breathing. So with her heart, it's like an enlarged heart. And I think John, that 70s Card Show, mentioned this in the chat last week, something about the trachea because she's hacking. And initially I thought because she's got some allergy issues, like me. But it just like the more it went, it's like, this isn't like a normal allergy thing. There's something more to it. And it is the trachea. So her enlarged heart is pushing on the trachea, which is causing the hack. And it just sounds so painful. So that's kind of the issues that we had Friday night. In Friday and Saturday night, she was just hacking. And like every hour she would wake up and just terrible, to watch your dog go through this. And last night was better. Maybe I slept harder and just didn't hear it as much. But she wasn't hacking. Like when she was on the couch last night, she wasn't hacking as much. So that's good. So we're going to get her into the vet today. We're going to have our main vet look at her and see what some of the steps we have. So that's the bad news, which unfortunately it's terrible news. Not all terrible yet, but it sucks. But since I was around, I decided, well, hey, I can go check first thing in the morning, Sunday. My wife and Biscuit, they'll be sleeping in. I'll run up to Baraboo and catch the last of the sale. So the company that put it on, even though they could have made way more money on the cards, they did a phenomenal job with this. And we don't know. Maybe they bought the estate for a super low price and everything was gravy for them. I don't know. You don't know. But they were doing a really good job promoting it. There were signs all over Baraboo. It was on the Baraboo Marketplace. It was on estate sale, all, everything. They did a really good job promoting it, which is good and bad, right? It's good for, whoever's getting the money. Maybe not if you have competition with what you want, like vintage baseball cards and football cards and basketball cards. So they posted, the company posted some pictures on like Saturday evening. And I thought about what I was looking through the photos, and it looked like this is what's left. I was assuming this is all that's left. So I didn't see any photos from the room that the cards were in. And I'm like, ooh, this might be, I wonder if somebody came in Saturday afternoon at the end of the sale. They're like, well, you're going to do everything half off. I'll offer you this on the cards. That was my fear. And I sent the lady a message, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to drive up tomorrow. I just wanted to check to see if if there are still cards in the basement. Didn't get a response. So, which isn't, I'm sure they were pretty busy. So I'm like, well, you know what? I spent all day Saturday with Biscuit. I was, kind of struggling with her stuff. Like, it'll be nice. It'll be good to get out of the house and get back on the road. So, Sunday morning, so I had planned on Saturday night. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to be home. I might as well go live in the morning. I think I told some people in a group chat I'm in, I'm going to go live tomorrow, but then I didn't say anything else. And I'm glad I didn't, because I frankly, I didn't really want to go live. It's like, well, it would have kind of been the same exact spiel as you heard on Friday morning from my car in Baraboo outside the sale. So didn't go live. But I did. Let me throw my eBay link there. It's in the description as well. 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. So before I went back to Baraboo yesterday morning, I had some time. I'm like, well, the sale on Sunday didn't start till 10. I want to get there an hour early just in case I've got competition. It's the third day of the sale. I didn't think I would have as much competition as I had on Friday. So I had some time, took a shower, got dressed. I'm like, I'm going to list some of the vintage. I had sorted some stuff out on Friday night based on sport. So I'm like, I'll throw some vintage baseball up. I think I did 50 cards on Saturday morning. By Saturday evening, wait, what's today? Today's Monday. Yeah, Sunday evening. By last night, my days are all mixed up. I think I had sold almost half of what I listed Saturday morning. And I thought I was listing them for a little higher. I mean, they were right around comps, which I'm learning. And obviously, if you've looked at my eBay store, I'm not too, vintage isn't really my game. I know it, but it's just not, it's not really my thing. I was listing stuff, it's like, here we go. And so stuff was selling. What I do like about vintage, I'm going to message, where is Cooter in the chat? Cooter, I was going to message Cooter about this. I love selling vintage because I don't think I've gotten a lowball offer on any of the stuff I've listed since Friday night. I don't think I've received any lowball offers. The Bill Walton rookie I had posted for $50. Somebody offered me 40. I'm like, well, yeah. The Phil Jackson, I think I had listed at 25. I've got an offer. I had an offer at 18. Okay. Some of it, if I'm not responding to some offers right away, because if it's only been posted for an hour, I'm gonna give it some time. So I did receive some offers last night, I think, or overnight, of stuff that I listed last night. So I'll eventually get around to probably accepting most of those that were sent in the overnight on the vintage stuff. So I mean, I think modern basketball is the worst of the low balls. I'll list a $10 auto and like all the other comps are 15 and I'll get dollar offers. It's like, come on. It seems like it's only no, I do get because I do get baseball offers like that, but I also have like 10x the amount of baseball in my inventory that I do basketball. I also had was it the Bill? It might have been the Bill Walton. No, it was one of the high number football cards. And I think I had it listed for $60. And somebody who's also a reseller, who the reseller sent me a message and he goes, "You mean I have to look through 53,000 items to find 7 cards to save 25%? Are you serious?" And I'm like, "You're a fucking asshole." Like, what? I'm like, so I responded. Now, that's what I wanted to respond, but I didn't. Held my tongue. I said, "You don't have to save 25%." And I said, "If you buy at regular price, you'll save a lot of time. You don't have to save, like it's the audacity of people. Like, I'm doing you a favor. You're saving 25% on something that this card was the cheapest on eBay. I had it listed, and it was listed for like 6 hours when this jag bag sent me this message. Like the second, I had it listed for 60. I think the second cheapest was like 66 after shipping. So I sent him that message, and then I thought about it, and then I looked, and then I didn't even realize he was a reseller. And then I went back and I looked at his eBay store, and I'm like, well, this fucker's a reseller. Well, fuck him. So I went into the listing and I raised it $10. So I thought about just blocking him, but I didn't. So yeah. So I don't think it's sold, but now it's like the print. I don't care. So if anybody wants a Paul, I'll say, if any of you are watching and you're not this asshole, I'll sell you a Paul Warfield at a good price. Which, by the way, 72 high numbers. I want to talk about that, but let's get into the chat because I'm gonna share. Once I got to Baraboo yesterday, I'm going to go into detail on. I bought everything that was left card wise, so spoiler alert. But I'm going to tell you how it all shook out on Sunday morning. Let's go to the chat. Kyle's in the house. Good morning. Steel Cards is here. What's happening? Lewis, good morning. Productive weekend. It was productive. Got some gardening done. I did a little pruning on Saturday. Got the bird feeders full. We got a really heavy rain. Was it Saturday night into Sunday morning? Really heavy rain. My plants, my veggies are all looking pretty perky. My banana peppers are looking really good. Celery's coming along nice. The lettuce apparently is coming along nice because of the rabbits. I don't think they've eaten any more, but they haven't touched anything else. So I'm just kind of leaving. I'm not going to fence it. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't bitch about the rabbits eating it if I don't prevent them from eating it. Tomatoes are looking healthy. Cucumbers looking good. Starting to climb my trellises. So productive weekend in the garden as well. George, what's happening? Joe, what's going on? Good morning. Mark's in the house. The Mets have won 6 in a row since the Grimace throughout the first. It's the reverse curse of the Grimace. And the Cubs are just continuing to slide. They lost again yesterday. I think the Mets and Cubs have the worst, and Marlins. I think they have the. I'll look at Mark's. I just noticed this. The Grimaces, the worst records in the National League. I think the Mets and Marlins are still worse than the Cubs, but the Cubs are sliding. The Mets are winning thanks to the Grimace. David, good morning. Congratulations on the estate sale. Sounded like a great road trip. It was great road trips. I was happy times two. I was happy Friday with the results, and I'm happy with Sunday's results on the return trip. Johnny Boy Cards, happy Monday. Bill Simus is here. Good morning. Victor, what's up? Good morning. Steve is here. Good morning. Congrats on the awesome haul. Thank you. Red Lights in the house. Good morning. Todd says, I was wondering if you went back based on your Twitter X post. Yes, I did. You caught on. Tom, what's going on? Good morning. Hey, I got a schedule for you. Part of the bulk. I found a 1975 Milwaukee Admirals pocket schedule. So I will gift that to you this Saturday. Holmes in the house. Good morning. Holmes bought the Gary Carter rookie. Thank you, sir. Check it out, 99centcards.com. Red Light says, hit the like button. Thank you. James in the house. Bring those vintage singles to the card show. Better odds of selling them than one by one on eBay. I don't know about that. They've been flying out of my eBay store. More eyes. I'm moving these on eBay. Now, some of the later years I might put in quarter boxes. I don't have quarter boxes. I'm going to rebuild quarter boxes. By the way, it's like when it rains, it pours. There was James brought up JR's Bowman bulk. JR and I were texting back and forth. I'm going to pass on it. There was a 2022 Bowman draft bulk here in town, like 50,000. I've got enough already. It's not moving fast enough to put that expense. But when it rains, it pours. I get a text message from my buddy Steve yesterday. Steve sold me his childhood collection from a Craigslist ad back in 2018. So 6 years ago, when COVID hit. So he was completely getting out. He's like, I've had this stuff since I was a kid. I don't collect anymore. I just cash it out. So COVID hit, and he got seller's remorse and got back in and started buying stuff again. And he reached out to me during COVID. He's like, hey, so I got back in because we kept in contact. And I said, hey, if you ever, I know this is everything you got, but hey, if this is why it's important to network, make connections, very important. And so I had messaged him, and yeah, this was pre-Madison Card Show. We were texting back and forth, and he's a Cubs fan too, so that helps. We have that in common. And he had bought a bunch of stuff, and this was more like a lot of junk wax stuff, but it was still, he gave me a hell of a deal. So I bought that. I started the Madison Card Show, sent him a message. I'm like, hey, just want to let you know I'm starting the Madison Card Show. Come on out. So I see him at the Madison Card Show most every month. And I bought, he came over and he came by before we moved. He came by the old house and had some stuff. And I'm like, right now, we're getting ready to move. I'm like, I will buy it if you hang on to it, but don't hang on to it for me. Like if you want to move it, just move it. But if you're willing to hang on to it for 2 months, once we get settled in, I'll buy. So he's like, oh, I'm in no rush. He's like, I'll set it aside. So he did. And once I got settled in, once we got in here, he came by and hauled it all into the card room and made the deal. He sent me a text yesterday and he's like, I did it again. I've been buying. I've got a lot of jerseys and relics and player lots. So he's like, I'm looking to get this. I'm like, send me some pics. I'm like, I'll come over and look at it. I'm like, send me some pics just so I have an idea. He sent me some pics, a lot of good stuff. So we'll see on the based on the price. I don't know. I've got to I've kind of get my hands dirty and dig in to see, because the last jerseys, autos, superstar lot that I bought, very similar price. And, based on the pictures, I'm like, it's not going to be worth it. And then once I got it, it's like, oh shit, this is a hell of a deal. So he's always done me good. So probably going to be a good deal. So I'm going to go take a look at that this week. And probably June's going to be probably a loss month in terms of inventory versus eBay sales, based on what I've been. Who knows what I'll pick up this Saturday in Madison at the card show. Actually, it won't, based on inventory, because I didn't buy any wax this month, no new releases. So I'll still be in the black, but my profit won't be as high. But in the ensuing months, July will be down just with everything going on in July. But hey, maybe August, maybe I'll recoup in August. Brian, what's happening? Good morning. Peter's in the house. Happy Monday. We'll start losing daylight soon, but I know. I think about this. We go out to go potty, Biscuit, take her out at like 9, and it's like, damn, it feels like it's like 6 o'clock out here. And I go to bed, and it's still light out. But as Peter says, yeah, we've got about 5 days of long days, and then they start getting shorter. Dan says, bad news always first. I know it sucks. What's up, Neil? Thank you. Good morning, Christian. Tracy, what's up? It sucks. Thank you, T206 kid. Low Roller says you got a showcase. James says a lot of old school set collectors at the show. Charlie, what's up? Good morning. Michael Renicke's in the house. Gundy's here. Good morning. Looks like the flat rate box I bought from you is out for delivery. Looking forward to seeing that, Ernie Banks. Yeah, right. Hope you enjoy. Red Light says I picked up a few on Saturday. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Orlando, good morning. Cooter's in the house. When you see vintage in good condition, you need to take advantage of instead of playing the offer game, because it is actually hard to find. I'll keep that in mind. Because, yeah, based on my sales, and some of this stuff, like I am shocked at how crisp some of these cards are. I did go through, I did a once over on some of this stuff. And I've got to look, like, I probably should look up some of the stuff just to see, like, okay, what's a 6 or a 7? In some of the, the Peyton's for sure going to PSA. The Dr. J for sure is going to PSA. I think I set aside, a second Gary Carter rookie. I'm going to sub, and I think one of the George Brett rookies. Zach and Porter says, I've never lost power. I've not received a lowball offer. Tempting fate again. I will be lowballing the heck out of Hannah rookie when you list it. Holmes says, was wondering what a 1968 Cubs team ball would be worth. My dad lived with a backup catcher in college and got a team ball. Very cool. I guess it depends on who all is in it. Is it an actual ball signed by the players, or is it just a team ball? Because I've got this is just a team ball, but this is like one of the replicas. These are not authentic signatures. These are just like the printed on ones. This is 1967. You got Santos, Stan Hack, Billy Williams, Adolfo Phillips, Cal Kuntz, 1967. So yeah, I guess it depends on, is it one of those types, or is it an actual signed by the players? And then is it signed by everybody who's on it? That all depends. Zach says, in the time he wrote that he could have searched lowest price plus shipping, added 6 to cart, and saved $11 net. Yeah. Some people ain't smart. Let's see. Mark says, guess this idiot doesn't understand business. $60 for a 72 football high is very fair. Yeah. I ended up moving. So the Bob Greasy, so Friday I picked up the Bob Greasy and Paul Warfield, not knowing they were actual 72 high numbers. The greasy I listed for 75, had an offer of 60, and I'm like, oh, that's fair. So I took it, and I've got the Paul Warfield. It's 70 now, or best offer. For you birders out there, so I have a grosbeaks have a nest in the corner that right outside my window. The deck overhangs right outside this window, and I've got a robin that is building a fucking condo. I mean, it's like a subdivision, a bird subdivision going on. This robin is building, I shit you not, 4 nests. Shit you not. So there's the grosbeak nest in the corner. There's a little small, like there's like the early stages. It's framed. And then the next 3, this robin's done some freaking work in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. I'm like, wait, that robin, what the hell? There's 4. This one robin is building 4 nests. I don't get it. Is it for a family of robins? Does she just have a lot of money, or he? Do they have a lot of money to build this subdivision? Is one a summer home and one a winter home? I'm going to have to Google it, unless somebody in the chat can tell me he or she is. With robins, is it the male robin that builds the nests or the female robin that builds the nest? So they're just hanging out. And it's kind of fascinating watching birds build nests, because it's like they build it with like hay and twigs and sticks and leftover pieces from construction. Like there's a piece of blue like rope. Like, man, they are just hanging out. Fascinating. Orlando says, great that you went back to get the rest of the estate sale card. So yeah, I'm going to get into the whole process of what went down on Sunday. Mark says, I spent more on the 72 highs than I did on the low numbers. Team signed. I would have to kind of look. I guess your best bet is probably looking up auction searches, and I'm talking like Golden, for something like that. Golden, REA, Robert Edwards, Hunt, some of those auction sites, and see, and just kind of, maybe you won't find a 68, but you might find a 67 or a 69, and probably going to be somewhere in that range. Low Roller says, showcase your vintage card and card shows to boost your sales in your dollar box. Neil says, going to be checking out a very large sports card memorabilia collection today. Hope to find some goodies. Good luck. JG's in the house. When a 5-row is full, one is all top loaded and one is penny sleeved only, what's the difference in quantity? 5-row. So here's kind of and I don't know if this is accurate, but this is kind of my guesstimate on a 5-row. If it's junk wax, because they're a little thinner paper stock, it's 5,000 cards. But you get into modern cards, some of them are thicker. You've got chrome, you've got heritage, thicker stock. Not going to be quite 5,000. So I figure like 4,000 to 4,500, probably somewhere in between that number, 4,250 on modern, unsleeved. For sleeved, I'm thinking on a 5-row, I usually go 3,000, being conservative. On a 4-row, I typically go like 2,000. So does that make sense? Probably 3,500 on a 5-row sleeved. 2,000 on a, and usually, and I have counted some 4-rows, and it's usually like right at 2,000. If they're all sleeved. With top loaders, probably cut that number in half. I would say maybe 1,800. Again, these are just all guesses, and this is kind of where I'm going with guesstimates. If anybody knows, if you have time, you could always grab a 5-row. If you have enough top loaders in a 5-row box to test it yourself, I could do that. I probably should do that just to have when I am looking at stuff, a little more knowledge behind it. Those are some of the numbers that I would guess. And 4 rows is I can tell you a sleeved 4 row is going to be right around 2,000 cards. That I do know. Mr. Archer's in the house. Good morning. You have a lot of new inventory. Yes, I do. James says, where's your stalker? He will tell you about your sales. Dan's in the house. What's going on? Good morning. Hope you have an awesome week. After I did the purge of the store, I'm back to almost 4,000 listings. And the weird thing is, I have more views on those 4,000 than when I had 57,000. So Dan, this is my challenge, my homework to Dan. And this isn't the first time I've thought of this. But like with Paul, Carl, when he's done his purge, I'm curious if those view statistics are sustainable, or is this just something that's end now, sell similar, whatever that is? Because you get a boost when you end a listing and you resell it or sell similar, you get that boost. Is that what's happening in these scenarios? And that's kind of what I want to hear, and I want the numbers. So I'm curious if you could track this, say, okay, I love spreadsheets, so this is something that I would, I'm interested in. Okay, here's my views on 4,000. You can compare and just kind of go and check it. It doesn't have to be every day, but like, you can get a good trend line going if you do it daily, but you could do it even weekly just to see, okay, well, a month ago, my views were the same as 57,000, but now a month later, I'm at 50% of those views. So I'm curious how sustainable that is. Because I'm guessing the boost in those views is because you completely wiped out your store. So it's like all new listings. And we know when you get new listings, you get more eyeballs. Literally the same cards that I had before, but just new listings. So I think that's just the same. You probably could have had the same results by just ending now and sell similar, as opposed to just purging your entire store and starting from scratch, especially if it's the same stuff. Low Roller says, I saw you listed hockey vintage card. Yeah, I'll get into that. Some sugar daddies. Gundy, you will recoup everything when you sell the Walter Payton rookie. I think so. Offbeat All-Stars. Brian's in the house. You went back and bought it all. Of course I did. Sold 10 plus singles this weekend. Still can't get much traction on my 25% off promo. The only way you're going to get traction on volume discounts is by having volume in your inventory. If you're sitting on, even 1,000 listings, which is a lot of listings in the eBay world, 1,000 listings is a lot. But if you're going to put 5, 7, 10 discounts on sales, you've got to have 50,000. Just to compare, I have over 4,000 followers in my eBay store, established for almost 10 years on this account, over 50,000 active listings, and I'm still getting a few volume sales, 7 cards or more at regular price. How many times have you heard me say that? 20 a day on Hobby Evolution. I tweet it almost every day, and I'm still getting maybe 4 or 5 a day, taking advantage of the 7 or more. So it's a volume game. It's all about the numbers. Whole team ball sign, Banks Jenkins. Terry, what's going on? Good morning. And when I said when it rains, it pours, it's probably about that time for another Goodwill pallet. And I'm just going to be swimming in inventory. But I do need to rebuild, but I'm not doing my next card show that I set up at won't be until August. So I've got time to rebuild the quarter boxes, but typically it's like, I got time. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got a show in 2 weeks. I don't have anything new. Joe Toronto's in the house. What's going on? Good morning. Was looking at my eBay account over the weekend. They upped my limits to $50 million for dollars in listings. That is wild. Couldn't imagine having that much listed. So they must have reinstated the limitations. So I started this account, my current account, in 2015. And I was restricted. And basically, this account was started because my previous account was restricted because of a shitty situation over CDs, which I've shared before. We won't go into details on it, but it was a terrible situation. And so basically, I had to restart over because I wasn't patient because I didn't want to build back up that account, and it was hard to because they had restricted my listings to like 5 a month. Like I could only list 5 items a month. It's like, how the hell am I going to build back my account doing this small volume? So I was able to build this account, and basically it was a start from scratch. So I didn't have that scarlet letter like my old account did. So I was able to build it back up. And eventually, and I had to, this was back, 2015, 2016, where you actually called to get your listing limits increased. And I called every month. They went up, they went up, they went up. Eventually, I looked, and this is probably during COVID. My limits were increased to $2 billion per month in sales, or 2 billion items. It's like, well, not going to ever hit those limits. And then I think it was on a Hobby Evolution. I had mentioned this. Somebody had said in the chat, what this is my limitations or whatever. And I'm like, mine's 2 billion or $2 billion or 2 billion items. Somebody in the chat's like, I don't have limitations. And I'm like, oh yeah, everybody has limitations. Like, no. And they showed me the page. So I went to mine. I'm like, oh, I don't have limitations either. So I don't know if it's just once your account's X amount of years old or whatever, you hit a certain amount of transactions. I don't know. But I did see a lot of people. I saw Hobby Evolution in the Facebook group. A lot of people were putting, their increases on their limits. So yeah, eBay must have done something last week about it. Brian says estate sales are usually fun, except the time I saw a man's hole in one ball mounted on a plaque. How can you not bury that with a dead man? Broke my heart. I saw a man's hole. Oh, a man's hole in one ball. I'm like, a man's hole? Like his asshole? What kind of estate sale were you at? A man's hole in one ball. Now it all makes sense. So on the screen, it says, I saw a man's hole in one ball. His hole in a ball? His hole in one ball. Tracy says, looking forward to you posting those George Brett cards. Yes. Probably. Today's going to be heavy on shipping because I didn't do any shipping Sunday. I did do quite a bit on Saturday, but going to be heavy on shipping today. Still sorting. I'm through about half. Actually, not even half of what I picked up yesterday. Landry the Legend, good morning. I bought a couple of those Bob Gibson 75s. Thank you. Thanks for showing everything you got the other day. That was awesome. Thanks for watching. Thanks for buying. Get those out here in the next couple days. Cooter says, count out 100 top-loaded cards and 100 sleeved, measure the height of the stacks, and do the math. Oh, we got to do math and based upon space in the box. That would probably be quicker than just filling up 2,000 top loaders. Red Light says, if you get too many cards, don't throw any away. Orlando says, Bo is now going to be looking for another estate sale better than Goodwill Pallets. This one sure was, man. Beginner's luck. Somebody in the commented on my tweet, like, how do you find these? And it's like, well, this was my first one. I had never been to an estate sale before. So this was beginner's luck. And I'll probably never find one like this again. But I did make some connections. The lady that I was talking with on Friday morning, that we just kind of hung out waiting for the sale to open on Friday, I ran into her yesterday, so I gave her my card. She's like, I don't know anything about cards, so she's like, whatever I find, like, you can just make me an offer. So I'm like, well, I'll make sure you have, you're not gonna give stuff away like this sale did. Where are we at? Dan says, I did the end now sell similar for about 8 months. I think this is because I'm only listing the best of the inventory instead of everything. And that makes sense. And then each week there are hundreds of new listings. I think that makes a lot of sense based on what you're actually listing. I'm seeing a bump in my stuff because of, the vintage stuff is getting a lot of traction, a lot of views. And I think there's some trickle down, especially with people wanting to save 25%, buy 7 or more. Maybe they see a Bob Gibson and a Steve Garvey. It's like, well, I'm going to find some other stuff. You can go buy 5 99-cent cards and you'll save 25% off. So I think that helps as well. It's I think that's the biggest part is the quality of the inventory, more so than the quantity, by leaps and bounds. I will definitely continue to monitor and report on it, but I was really nervous to do the purge because I actually rely on the second income, but early on, good success and good vibes. Good deal. Good deal. Red Light says, hole in the ball sounds like some pain. That's what I was thinking. Like, ooh, hole in a man's hole. Ouch. It was beginner's luck, but it wasn't. You got to always be looking. That is the secret. What is the secret to your success? Always be looking. ABL, baby. All right. I got to go blow my nose. I'm going to come back in 30 seconds and I'm going to share how everything went down on Sunday, how it all played out, and how I bought the rest of the cards at the vintage estate sale. I'll be right back. Okay. Brought this just in case. By the way, before we get into the estate sale, I checked because I'm in like week 6 or maybe starting week 7 of my new diet and all that. I'm down 14 pounds in the last 6-7 weeks. And I went back through my doctor visits. And this is and normally I'd be like huffing and puffing after just jogging to the bathroom and back. I am the lightest. I guess I'm the lightest I've been since like 2017. I went back through all of my doctor visits and it's like, okay, 20, here's where I was, here where I was. I'm like, shit. So I went back to 2015. I was like 194 and I'm like, oh man, I still got some a little ways to go before I hit actually not much. I'm at 203. I was at 217 on May 6th. So doing well and so yeah. And I also noticed it. Speaking of the estate, we're going to talk about the estate sale, but I noticed when I hauled all these cards out to my car, this is on like, if you're familiar with Baraboo, if you're not familiar with Baraboo, like Google Earth Baraboo, it's in, the views are just stunning. And I ended up not taking photo. Damn it, I should have taken a photo. But the views are just absolutely stunning. But you really get a workout. I mean, it's like San Francisco. The streets are like, and so I was parked kind of almost down at the bottom. And so I'm like, and I was huffing and puffing, but like, I probably like 2 months ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it in one trip, like carry it in one trip without stopping. And I carried it down and I was huffing and puffing for sure, but not as bad as, I probably would have had to stop halfway and be like, so I noticed that like, okay, I'm not huffing and puffing when I run up the stairs anymore. So that's good. All right. So went back to the estate sale on Sunday. Holmes says, saw an estate sale in St. Louis with vintage cards, Mantle, Brooks Robinson, and some others. Problem is, they have some graded cards that are authentic with signs of trimming. So staying away. Ah, yes. So yeah, that's something you look out. You have to look for these little signs. And that's certainly a sign. Okay, authentic with trimming. Are the raw cards also going to be trimmed? And they're probably a good sign. When there's smoke, there's fire. Good looking out. JG says, went to my first estate sale about 2 years ago and scored massive vintage hat haul worth like $3K. Been downhill since. It's beginner's luck. Cooter wants to know, how many cards did you end up with on Sunday? So I won't know until I actually sort, and I'm just going through and sorting everything, and that'll give me an idea. And I'm only going to count vintage because there is some junk wax, and I mentioned that on Friday. There is some junk wax, which I'm not going to count. And there's some like Ken Griffey Juniors, and there's some refractors, and there's some just random stuff that'll go into either a bulk sale or quarter boxes or player lots, I guess, for Griffey. But I want to count like the vintage just to see, okay, what did I pay per card on the vintage? I would say there's well over 10,000 vintage cards. And potentially up to maybe not quite to 20,000, but I could see between 10 and 15,000 probably. I'd say between 10 and 15,000 vintage cards. And then there's also, maybe a couple thousand modern cards. So I didn't even look through. I took a couple of the binders here's how it all played out. So Sunday morning, I get up, I list some cards, I drive up to Baraboo. I wanted to get there an hour before the sale started at 10 o'clock. So I wanted to get there at 9, just in case I had competition, because it's the last day. Everything was half off, and they're trying to get rid of stuff. Like, they had the whole porch was filled with free stuff. I could have looked through. There probably would have been some stuff I could have flipped, and it was free because they were just trying to they just didn't want stuff. So my concern was, all right, somebody's going to come in and buy it all at the start. Like, if I wait, I'm going to lose, which I probably would have. So I get up there at 9 and I go straight there and drive up, and there's nobody there. I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. So I didn't eat anything. So I'm like, I'm going to run to Quick Trip. I'm going to kill some time, 10, 15 minutes, and I'll get back there at like 9:30. And so I went to Quick Trip, had a breakfast sandwich at Quick Trip, and went back at 9:30. Now, I mean, the difference 20 minutes makes. The whole street was lined. I'm like, oh, shit. So I had to park, like I said, almost to the bottom of the hill. And it was, so this street that it's on, it's at the very top of the hill on a dead end street. And like I said, it's a complete like incline. I'd hate to be driving that street in the winter. So I go up there, and they have a sign-in sheet, but it's like, I didn't think they'd have a sign-in sheet on Sunday, but they did. They didn't use it though. They didn't use it. It's like, yeah, you got to sign in. And they said beforehand, it's Sunday, everything's half off. We're going to have a lot of people, so we need to have a sign-in sheet. And then all of a sudden at like 9:50, they're like, okay, you can just come in. Oh, okay. I guess we didn't have to sign it. So based on the sign-in sheet, I was like number 16. I could have been number 1 if I would have stayed there, but it didn't matter in the end anyway. And I was looking around at other people that were there. I didn't have any competition for the cards. There was a lot of old ladies. It was mostly old ladies. And they're looking through the free stuff, and so I had a feeling it's probably just going to be me, at least at the start of this sale. All right. So my strategy going in, now that I'm there, first off, I don't know if there's any cards left. I didn't see any in the update photos on Saturday, so could be a completely wasted trip. I know exactly where they are. I'm going straight to the basement. Now, if there are cards there, this is my strategy. If there are cards there, I want to see what's left. because I've got a number in my head, but that number could change based on what's in there. And now the number I had in my head was basically my height. Like I wasn't going to offer more, but I certainly would offer less. Some old ladies are vicious. Yeah, there were some like, you got to sign in. You can't park there. Like, yeah, old ladies, man, they don't give. They do not give a fuck at a estate sale. Old ladies, they're brutal. They were all nice though. Yesterday they were all nice. So we talked about earlier in the show today, we talked about the 72 high number football. There were about 10 or 12, maybe 15 on Friday that I'm like, oh, I've never seen. I don't know what these are. But it's Bob Greasy and Paul Warfield. I know, especially from 72, Dolphins are going to move. Then when I came home and I'm, oh, shit, these are expensive. And I left like 10 of them. So I was kind of like, I wanted to rummage around. My thought process, so basically all cards are 50 cents each. If they don't take my offer, because they threw it that number, that $5,000 number for the baseball cards that they told me on Friday, which I think she might have been lying about that. She might have been fibbing. But so okay, I'm going to look for these 72 high numbers because just in case I go upstairs and put an offer in, they don't accept it. I don't want to lose out on potentially some good cards at 50 cents a pop, some 72 high numbers. So, I went through, and this is what I picked up on Sunday. I started looking, and guess what I found? 72 high number, Ken Houston. 72 high number, Ted Hendricks. 72 high number, Willie Brown. 72 high number, Jim Johnson. And I think there were a few more. Yep. 72 high number, Bob Lilly. 72 high number, Forrest, you're my boy, Blue. 72 high number, John Nyland. So those were the ones I found. It was a mess. So I walked in to the room. It didn't look like those cards had been touched outside of, there were just more piles of cards. Didn't look like anything had been touched since I left there on Friday. And based on what I start digging through. So I was looking for the 72 high numbers. I found those. So I'm building a stack. So this was my strategy. It's like, okay, I'm going to build a stack. I'm going to go through, but I don't want to spend too much time in case somebody comes in and says, hey, I'll give you X amount for all the cards. So fortunately, I was the only one there with the cards. So I had a little bit of extra time. So I'm going through. There were still, all of these were still there. Like those could have been had for $1 each. The 74 Hank Aaron specials. Yeah, they're not overly crazy, but for $1 and it's on Sunday for 50 cents, a 74 Blyleven, 74 Doug Buffon. So these are cards that I was just digging through piles, and 75 rookie. It was a rookie. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. So just stuff that it's like, okay, I'll buy this. Some 70, what are these? 76 football. Scratch off, Richie Allen. So those were, and there was some Hostess. So I had, these were all the cards that I had. So I grabbed all the Hostess because I don't know all the Hostess that I saw in the first few minutes. I have a huge stack of them because I don't know what's short print or what's not. Wonder Bread All-Stars. I know these are only a couple bucks, but still, it's like I can get these. And then, there's a 74 Juan Marichal. And it's like, did anybody pick through these? So there's a bunch of old basketball still left. So these are 71, 72. Some more old basketball. There's a Bill Bradley. So there's still a lot of stars that it's like, man, I don't think anybody has gone through these since we cherry picked on Friday. So, let's see, get these somewhere. So I picked that pile up. So I just grabbed a box, put them in that box. So I was going to take my box upstairs and run a number by the estate sale company. And if they said no, all right, then I'm just going to go cherry pick and buy 3 or 4 or 5,000 cards, whatever I could find. And it's like, what would I buy for 50 cents? I'm going to be pretty, even at 50 cents, I'm going to be pretty liberal with what I pick out. So take this box, and it's like, this is, 772 high numbers on their own at 50 cents a pop is going to make, my morning well worth it. So, I go up, take my box, go upstairs, and I said, I'm like, would you take 1,000 for all the cards left in the basement? And she's like, 1,000. And she's like, let me talk to my husband. It's a husband-wife team that runs this company. And they chat. She's like, I'm going to go check downstairs to see what's all left. Like, okay. So she goes downstairs, comes back up. And she's like, I'll do 1,200 and you can have everything that's upstairs too, card-wise. All the binders. There was a shoebox of some vintage. There was actually some good stuff in that box too. I'm like, all right, deal. Like, I'm not. Am I gonna negotiate over pennies, over dollar, over $200, especially after what I pulled on Friday for $1 each? No. I'm like, you want 1,200? You get 1,200. That's a great deal. They were happy. She made a post in the Baraboo group on Sunday night, last night, saying like how well. She's like, man, you guys showed up. Thank you so much. So they were happy. And that's important, right? Everybody, like all the card guys were happy on Friday, like except for the one guy who was just kind of all over the place and stuck a stack of cards on a table with all the other cards for sale and got upset because he wasn't too upset, but he's like, oh, I wanted those cards. Well, why did you leave them and go upstairs? Come on, man. Rookie mistake, amateur hour. So, but everybody was happy. Everybody was happy. And so hauled out. Again, I think it's probably the vintage, basically 71 through 78. I've gone through and I've sorted about 40%. I'd say I've gone through and sorted 40% of what I've got. And I'm thinking there's going to be between 10 and 15,000 vintage cards, 70s, and a small stack of like 69 football. So yeah, it's, and I'm going through and it's like all these Hostess, and I'm like finding more Bob, because I was on Friday, like I'm passing on 75 Bob Gibsons because it's like, oh, I think I've already picked 2 or 3 out. And like they're still in there. And like Juan Marichal and 72 high numbers, baseball. Like I thought I picked out a bunch of them, but I wasn't really looking too hard, especially towards the end. It's like, I'm kind of done. And I bet I have 20 72 high number baseball, the 7 or 8 high number football. I've got some fun ahead. There were, I didn't even realize it, but a couple of the boxes, because a lot of the cards were just in boxes like this. 2 of them were original 74 Topps football and 75 Topps football boxes, like wax boxes. They're in pretty rough shape, but still probably $15, $20 for the empty box, which is totally like, I'll probably display it somewhere in my card room for now. Right now it's shipping and sorting and then listing. So check it out, my eBay store. I do have a bunch of vintage. It's going really fast. So when I list, like a lot of it's moving. So check it out, 99centcards.com. You'll get instant savings of 25% off at checkout. That's why I'm taking offers on a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, this is a 13% off offer. Somebody's probably going to come in and buy, especially the more I list. People are going to come in and buy more than 7 cards, and they're going to save 25% off. So it's kind of helping me by taking these offers. So a lot coming. I don't know how much I'll get listed today because I still have a lot to sort through, and I've got a lot of shipping to do as well. So, but coming up this week, Madison Card Show, it's card show week. So that's going to take some time away. I'm looking at a collection bulk buy this week of modern stuff. So a nice little mix. I've got vintage right now, maybe some modern later in the week. So like every time I blow my nose, it's like, oh, I can't get it out. That's what she said. It's like, I'm blowing my nose. It's like, there's something in there and I can't get it out. Thank you, Orlando. Appreciate it. Dan says, yes, you literally should have said, come on, man. Yeah. So it was a great Sunday. So, and the fun is just going through these cards again and being like, I can't believe, and I kept saying, like, I can't believe somebody left this. I can't believe somebody left that. Like, all of this stuff. Brian says, can't wait to check out those Nolans you picked up. Thanks again. You bet. I think one did get listed. The Hostess did get listed. But yeah, I've had so many people reach out. So I can't promise anybody that I'll set anything aside. I'll do my best. But some stuff may end up getting listed. Hostess, what year? On the Nolan, it might have sold already. 75. I can't remember what that was. There were a bunch of Sugar Daddy All-Stars, the little teeny ones. Those I put some more. Those were, I think, the hockey that I put up last night. I did some couch listing. Oh, we watched Golden Touch last night. We binged 3 episodes last night. So listed some stuff while I was on the couch last night. All righty. So that's what I had for today. Make sure to follow my eBay store, especially if you're looking for vintage, because I'll be listing a lot of this stuff here over the next couple of weeks, probably next couple of months. Because June's going to go fast, and July I'm out of town a lot. So, going to have a nice slow trickle of vintage this summer of vintage. So check it out. eBay store at 99centcards.com. 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Get there soon before it goes. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go do some shipping, and we'll do this all again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. See you then.